Well, hey there, Abundant Life Living community. It is I, Coach Tonya LaShawn Bryant. I am a licensed master social worker, and I work with women to help them transform their lives through learning how to shift their mindset. Now, I have started a new campaign of Love Thyself, Know Thyself, Heal Thyself, a path or journey to wholeness. And so for the past, 4 weeks or so, we've been operating in the first phase of Know Thyself. So I have been doing kind of lives around that, giving you some action steps and things to help you. On Thursdays, I have been, based on the topic that we discussed on Monday, I have created affirmations to go along with that. Well, today I want to do something a little different. And so our live stream today is going to be about, let's see, still phase one, know thyself, but how affirmations help me manifest success. Now, if you've been following me a while, you know that I utilize one of the tools and strategies that I use when I'm working with individuals is utilizing affirmations. And um, I really believe in the power of affirmations. And so this discussion today is really around, as the title says, how affirmations help me manifest success, right? And so one of the things we're talking about, know thyself. And that's really foundational because when you know who you are, you start to align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with that truth. So that's why I have been really kind of hounding and focusing in on this idea of knowing thyself, understanding that when you know yourself, there's a self awareness that manifests, and that self awareness can then become your superpower. Now, understand this. Knowing yourself is not just about listening, listing traits or taking personality quizzes, but it's really about becoming intimately familiar with your values, your triggers, your patterns, and your very own power. I really had to get honest with myself. I knew that I had some issues around, there's some fears that I dealt with. And so one of the things, before I really keep going, getting deep into this, so we're talking today about how affirmations help me manifest success. And many of you all know, when I do my intro, I talk about how I'm a transformational coach, but I am also, excuse me, a licensed master worker. Now, last May 2024, I graduated with my MSW. Then, in June, I went ahead and I became a licensed master social worker, but my license was provisional and it was only for 1 year. And so that allowed me and allows me to practice, because actually my license is due to expire June in 2025 of this year. Well, as a provisional licensed master social worker, I still was able, to work with clients. There's certain jobs that I could apply for that would accept the provisional, with the understanding that I would become a full-fledged licensed master social worker. And how you do that is you have to take your master's, your LMSW, licensed master social worker test through the association of social, the board for the Association Board for Social Workers. So it's a board that kind of governs how social workers practice. And so in order to become a licensed master social worker, I had to take this test. Well, I could have took it right out of school, but I just really felt not prepared and ready, and just had too many issues. And so back to what I was talking about, in knowing myself, one of the things that I learned about myself, if I really had to be honest with myself, is I had fears around testing. That's why I didn't right off take the test. I knew not only was I worried about taking the test, but there were things in my mindset, old stories. I've not always been like a straight A student. When I was in high school, elementary, I had to do remedial classes, remedial math and English. And so that kind of left me with a stigma, right? There was these narratives that I had in my mind from childhood on up to teenage, and college, that I wasn't good enough. Right. So in college, I did getting my bachelor's. I ended up, I graduated with a 2.74, not a huge, wonderful GPA. Then I went on to grad school and I, got a 3.2 or so, and so as I progressed, I got better. But even in that, even getting, progressing and doing graduate level work, there's still always this thing of that I'm not good enough. And then also this mindset and fears around testing. And so I knew that I had old narratives in my mind, but I also knew, so I had these narratives that were kind of hindering me because I was listening to them. But then there was a part of me that knew that deep down that I was called to be a social worker, right? I know this. And so knowing this, I was determined not to let fear really write this chapter, right? Fear stopped me from moving forward because, again, my provisional license ends in June. I just so happen to be working a job. They're able to use my provisional license. However, I have to be fully licensed in order for me to keep the job. They only hire LMSWs and higher. And so I was good until June. So I knew, and then they were reminding me, um, just know that, you have to, we know that you're on provisional, you'll have to take the test to become a LMSW, a fully fledged LMSW without the provisional, to keep the job. So, and then additionally, I'm also carrying a load of clients. I have about 9 clients that I see um, after work on a few days out of the week. And so I'm able to do that because even with my provisional, I'm able to do therapy. And so again, come June, had I not taken, if I hadn't taken the test and done well, or passed, then I would no longer be able to continue seeing clients, and I would have had to find a new job. And so all of those things were, going through my mind. So what I began to do is I actually, I think in either January or December, I purchased kind of this study aid. Shout out to the Therapist Development Center that I utilized. I also used, I went online and there's a great social worker, the Savvy Social Worker, and I watched her videos as well to help me prepare. So I had this study kind of guide, and the Therapist Development Center, they had the head coach would do recordings of what to look for in the test, test prep, and then they even went over various categories and things that as a social worker I should know. And then they had mock tests. And those were really, to kind of simulate what the real test would look like. And so the real test consists of it's a total of 4 hours, and they break it up into two sections. And they just did this recently. So you have the first section they break it up into 85 questions. And so you have 2 hours for each section. And so again, therapist development center helped me in studying. And then also I would go online. I purchased the therapist development center kind of study guide. And then I would go online to YouTube and watch Savvy Social Worker. Her stuff was free, but she was excellent in terms of like really giving you kind of a strategy of how to break down those questions. So I had that, but yet there's still this part of me like, oh, everything's riding on this. And so what I did also was then I got affirmations, right? Now, I'm always talking about affirmations, and let me kind of just give you just kind of, so affirmations really are these positive statements that help help challenge and overcome sabotaging and negative thoughts, right? And so you better believe in my narrative that was running through. It's like, you're not a good test taker. I mean, all of these things kind of running through my mind, right? Affirmations also help to reprogram our subconscious mind from negative thinking to positive thinking. So in addition to studying, right, I knew I had to begin to do some mind work, right? Utilizing affirmations, because you need to understand affirmations are not magic, really. And you really need to understand that. And they are muscle memory for your mind. And so every time I spoke these affirmations, it was kind of reminding my brain that what I was saying was true. I was shaping my reality from inside out, right? And many of you know I'm faith-based, and the scripture talks about as a man thinketh in his heart. I think it's somewhere in Proverbs, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so affirmations really can help you think the right thoughts. And so I want to share with you just some of the affirmations that I utilize. So really understanding that affirmations can help you think the right thoughts. So I want to share with you, and I think I'll do this again on Thursday when I do affirmations with Coach Tonya Bryant. But I want to share, these are the affirmations, let's see, that I utilize. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, settings. Let me make this one. Okay, I don't want to do that. So let's get rid of this. Let's go here, share screen, and no, entire screen. Okay. Okay, so these are some of the affirmations. And let me see if I can make this bigger. These are, not some of them, but these are the affirmations that I utilized. So what I would do, so here are, let's see, let's hide that. Here are the affirmations that I use. I'm calm, I'm ready, I'm prepared. This exam is not greater than the knowledge I carry. I have trained, I have studied, and I trust myself. Each question I read, I meet with wisdom and clarity. When I do not know, I pause, I breathe, and I remember I'm supported. I choose to be present in each moment. Fear does not lead me, confidence does. The same spirit that has guided me this far will guide me through this too. I am already a licensed master social worker. I walk in that identity now with boldness and peace, and it is so. So those were my affirmations that I began to speak, over myself. I began to meditate and ponder on those affirmations. Let's see. Is it going to allow me? Let's see. Um, Trying. There we go. Okay. So I use those affirmations to help me begin to reprogram this lovely mind, right? This brilliant, beautiful mind that I have, with all of its histories and stories. I knew that I had to begin to really deal with my mind, right? In addition to that, I begin to visualize. So I start seeing myself pass the exam, and sometimes I would just sit in my office and see that, and just see myself smiling, right? I saw my name with LMSW after it, and really I was, even though it was provisional, I was. So, and I visualized, I visualized people texting me saying congratulations. I visualized the screen, once I was done with the test, that it was going to tell me that I passed. And so the work that I was doing, I studied. Again, didn't just use affirmations, but I studied, I reviewed, I began to write note cards. I did all of that, but then I also utilized, I would just sit and just imagine myself, how it felt, feeling the feeling of completing, of actually passing the exam. And one of the reasons I was doing that, because I belong to a couple of Facebook groups of social workers. And so, I've heard some horror stories about how people have tried to take it, 3-4 times and not passing. And, so it was like, wow, and so listening, hearing that, and then I had to kind of limit that as well, because that plays on your mind, right? So me just really beginning to do the work to reprogram my mind, right? Doing, again, studying, but doing doing the mind work, seeing myself as that social worker, right? Because even after the LMSW, there's another step. It's an LCSW, a licensed clinical social worker. That won't happen for another 2 years. But again, there's a process, and I'm going to be starting that process and preparing myself for that. And then there's another exam, right? And so as I shared those affirmations, it really helped me get into alignment. It helped me to get into alignment with the fact that I passed that exam. It helped me to get into the alignment that I am already that, right? And so, needless to say, I passed. I'm saying all of that because I passed, right? As I sat in that testing center, and I got through my last question, and then it had me do a questionnaire, and then boom, it said, congratulations, you passed, just like that. And I was ecstatic, right? Because it's like that's what I had envisioned, the fact that I passed, and I passed. Right. And so you may be listening like, okay, that's great, Tonya. You know what? How can I use those same tools with maybe some things that I'm dealing with, some challenges that you are coming are being impacted by? How can you use these tools? Well, I'm glad that you asked me that. And so I kind of have 5 steps that I want. You know what? And let me do this. Let me see if I can get those 5 steps and pull them up. So let's see. Let me see if I can do the first 3, because I have a word limit. And if I was smart, I would have done this earlier. But let's see. Okay, so those are that's, so I'll do that, and then I'll add another banner, and then we'll add step 4 and 5. Okay, perfect. And then we will be done in just a minute. So we're going to go through 5 steps that you can take, practical application that you can take to help you manifest. Okay. So let's get started here. So 5 steps of how you can use affirmations to manifest those very things that you are needing to manifest, whether it be you getting a job, whether it be, you having to take a test, pass a class, whatever it is that you're believing, I need to focus in because I need to accomplish a certain thing. This, you can use these steps. So the first, let's look at, you know what, let's do this. Let me see, will it do, I think I can do 5 of them. So then that way we're not looking at all of them at the same time. So paste, we're saving that one. And we're going to come here. We're going to remove that. Thank you for your patience with me. I just think this will be easier if I can do one step at a time. So we'll take, so we've got step 1. Let's cut that. And let's go to step 2. Oh, let's save that. And then let's go to step 1. Okay, there's step 1, step 2. Then we're going to go to step 3. This is perfect. And we'll move that. And then step 4. Okay. Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Step 5. And then we can knock this out. Here we go. Okay. So we're adding that. And we're saving that one. Okay. All right. So step number 1. Oops, wrong one. Step number 1. Get clear about what you want to manifest. You need to be specific, right? So my affirmations, they all dealt with this idea of me passing the test, right? So you need to be clear. What is it that you're wanting to manifest? Know what you need to manifest, and be very, it can't be, it can't be general. It needs to be specific. So think about what is it that you need to manifest, right? That you need to manifest, that you are willing to get focused. You're willing to do the work in addition to the affirmations to manifest that thing that you need, right? Okay, so step 1, get clear about what you want to manifest. Step 2, identify who you need to be in order to receive it. Who do you need to be? Right? So who do you need to be? Who did I need to be, right? In manifesting that the passing of that LMSW. I needed to be confident. I needed to know that I was prepared, right? Let me pull up my I needed to know that I had trained, that I had studied. I needed to know that the exam was not greater than the knowledge that I already carried, right? I needed to know that I was calm, I was ready, and I was prepared. I needed to know that fear didn't lead me, but confidence leads me, right? I needed to know that I am already a licensed master social worker, right? I needed to know those things. I needed, so identify who you need to be in order to receive it. And those are all indicated in the affirmations that I created, right? And let me give you a secret, I used ChatGPT to help me really focus it in because it knows me. So I used Chat GPT to help me really get those affirmations in order. So that was step number 2. Step number 3, write 5 to 10 affirmations that reflect that identity, right? So you getting clear, you got to get clear what you want to manifest, be specific, identify who you need to be, and then write 5 to 10 affirmations that reflect that identity. And again, you can use I Chat GPT. I know there's other AI tools, whatever tools to help you reflect, get those affirmations in order that reflect the identity that you talked about in step number 2. Step number 4 is say those affirmations daily, morning and night, and visualize the outcome. And that, I mean, that as when I wrote them, I began to think about that, and I actually, each of my affirmations, I would say them 3 times. I would say them 3 times just to help cement in my mind, to help get in my subconscious so that, because I was retraining my brain was believing, oh, wait, yes, this exam is not greater than the knowledge that I carry. I'm calm, I'm ready, and I'm prepared, right? And so I'm training my brain, and my brain is believing this, right? So saying those daily affirmations morning and night, and then visualizing the outcome. And then that last step is back them with action. Affirmation without action is just a wish. So I had to back up, right? I'm prepared. I'm saying that because that's what I've been doing. I purchased this study tool, right? And I was utilizing that, right? I was going over the information. I was just really opening up myself and preparing. So again, back those affirmations up with action. I'm calm. I'm ready. I'm prepared. So that meant I did some breathing. I would, breathe in and breathe out to calm my nervous system, right? Especially, the day of. But I was even doing that previous to it. So I have to back that, the affirmations, back them with action, because affirmations without action is just a wish. And so those are 5 steps that you can use to get started for your manifestation, and I'll go over them again. Number 1, get clear about what you want to manifest and be specific. Number 2, identify who you need to be in order to receive it. Number 3, write 5 to 10 affirmations that reflect that identity. 4, say them daily, morning and night, and visualize the outcome. Step 5, back them with action. Affirmation without action is just a wish, right? And so we've been talking. So for those that may have just joined, I am Tonya Bryant. I am a life coach and a proud, fully fledged licensed master social worker. And we are talking about how I used affirmations to help me manifest success, to help me pass my LMSW exam that I needed, my licensed master social work exam, in order to become fully licensed. And so understand, I didn't pass the exam because of luck. I passed because I aligned myself. I knew who I was. I loved that part of me enough to speak life over her. And I healed some old fears in the process. That's what this journey is all about, right? If this resonated with you, I want you to stay with me for the next phase, because we're going to be talking about in part 2 and starting probably next week, love thyself, right? Love thyself. And so I want you and I didn't have it scrolling. So for those of you, and this freebie that I'm about to give you, this overcoming across the bottom of the screen is my free ebook, Overcoming Limiting Beliefs. This is a great tool to help you begin to get your mind right as you work on the manifestation. Again, Overcoming Limited Beliefs ebook. You can go to bit.ly/limits 2024 in order to get that. Again, you can download your free Overcoming Limiting Beliefs ebook at bit.ly/limits 2024. Download it today. So in addition with using that and beginning to utilize those steps, you can take the necessary action needed in order to manifest those things that you have been desiring. I am Tonya Bryant. I am a transformational coach. I am your transformational coach. I am a licensed master social worker. I help women begin to transform their lives through learning how to shift their mindsets. Right. And so again, the power of affirmations you can use to really begin to shift your mindset. It's so important that you walk in knowing who you are, your self-awareness, establishing that self-identity of who you are, because you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and you were put on this earth to live an abundant life. So go forth and live that abundant life. I want to invite you to join me on Thursday, where we do Affirmations Thursday. I think that's what I call it. Let me make sure I get the name right. Yeah, Affirmation Thursdays with Coach Tonya Bryant. And we're going to be talking more about some affirmations. I will have some affirmations for us to say to help you in this process of manifesting and to help you move forward. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you are with me. I'm on normally on Mondays and Thursdays around 7:30ish Mountain Standard Time. So please join me as we continue with this campaign of Know Thyself, Love Thyself, Heal Thyself, a journey to wholeness. God bless you, and I'll see you on Thursday.